There is no nation in human history that has shaped the imagination, the habits, the language, and the daily lives of people around the globe quite the way the United States of America has, not through the power of armies alone or the weight of its enormous economy, though both of those are real and formidable, but through something far more intimate and far more pervasive: the stories it tells, the technology it builds, and the platforms it has given the world to share both, because America's true global dominance in the 21st century is built on three staggering pillars: Hollywood, the technology industry centered in Silicon Valley, and YouTube, three forces so deeply intertwined, so mutually reinforcing, and so globally dominant that together they have made the United States the undisputed #1 soft power on Earth, a position confirmed by Brand Finance's Global Soft Power Index 2026, which ranked the United States first out of 193 nations with a score of 74.9 out of 100. And when you understand the history, the numbers, and the human stories behind each of these three pillars, you begin to understand why America does not merely participate in world culture, but, to a remarkable and sometimes unsettling degree, defines it. The story of Hollywood begins not in Los Angeles, but in a garden in Leeds, England, in 1888, when a French-born inventor named Louis Le Prince captured what is now recognized as the world's earliest surviving film, the Roundhay garden scene, a brief, flickering clip just a few seconds long showing members of his family walking in a garden, a humble beginning for an art form that would go on to change human civilization. And within a decade, by the mid-1890s, motion pictures had become a popular commercial entertainment medium in both Europe and America, launching the silent film era that lasted from that point until the late 1920s, and during which thousands of films were produced with ever-increasing sophistication of storytelling and technical craft. The reason that American cinema came to dominate world screens rather than European or Asian cinema is rooted in geography, economics, and the peculiar entrepreneurial culture of early 20th century America. Filmmakers discovered that Southern California's climate, its year-round sunshine, its varied natural landscapes, and its distance from the legal enforcers of Thomas Edison's early film patents made it the perfect place to build an industry. And so in the early 1900s, the small community of Hollywood on the outskirts of Los Angeles became the capital of global cinema, a position it has held, with occasional challenges, for more than a century. The first Academy Awards ceremony was held on May 16, 1929, in the Blossom Room of the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, a brief 15-minute affair that gave out 15 statuettes and was attended by only 270 people. And yet the Oscars that grew from that humble beginning became the most watched and most discussed film awards in the world, an annual global event that shapes careers, changes box office fortunes, and signals to the entire film industry what stories and performances matter most. Today, Hollywood's influence on global cinema is staggering. The United States continues to dominate the global media and entertainment industry, generating 39% of all worldwide revenues according to Omdia's 2025 analysis, and Hollywood's film industry commands approximately 75% of the international film market, a degree of cultural dominance that no other national cinema has ever achieved, though that share has declined from over 90% in 2009-2010 to 69.5% of global box office revenue in 2024, as South Korean, Indian, and other national cinemas have grown in international appeal. The global motion picture market was projected to expand from $51.7 billion in 2024 to $56.37 billion in 2025, and ticket sales in North America alone totaled $8.9 billion in 2025, up 2% from 2024, according to the New York Times, with Walt Disney Studios topping the 2025 studio rankings with a remarkable $658 billion global box office haul, making Disney the highest-grossing Hollywood studio for another consecutive year. The individual films that Hollywood has produced are themselves monuments to the scale of American cultural power. Avatar, James Cameron's 2009 science fiction epic, remains the highest-grossing film of all time with a worldwide box office of approximately $2.923 billion, followed by Avengers, Endgame at $2.799 billion in 2019, Avatar, The Way of Water at $2.334 billion in 2022, and Cameron's earlier Titanic from 1997 as the fourth highest-grossing film ever, while entire cinematic franchises built by Hollywood studios have accumulated box office totals that dwarf the film industries of entire nations, with the Star Wars franchise alone generating over $10 billion in global box office revenue across its theatrical releases, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe standing as arguably the most successful film franchise in history in terms of sustained audience engagement and commercial performance. And it was not only in theaters that Hollywood conquered the world. The rise of streaming transformed the entertainment landscape globally, and leading that transformation was Netflix, the American streaming service that began as a DVD by mail company in 1997, pivoted to streaming in 2007, and by the end of 2025 had surpassed 325 million paid global subscribers, a number that represents the largest single subscription entertainment service in human history, carrying American and international content into living rooms from Sao Paulo to Seoul to Nairobi, fundamentally changing how the entire world consumes stories. But Hollywood and streaming are only the first pillar of America's global cultural and technological dominance. The second, and in many ways the more structurally consequential, is the technology industry that emerged from a small stretch of land south of San Francisco Bay in California, a region that came to be called Silicon Valley and that has produced the most economically powerful concentration of innovation the world has ever seen. The roots of Silicon Valley trace back to the 1950s, when physicist William Shockley, co-inventor of the transistor, moved from the East Coast to Mountain View, California in 1956 to found Shockley Semiconductor, attracting brilliant young engineers to the region, 8 of whom famously broke away to found Fairchild Semiconductor in 1957 in what became known as the first great Silicon Valley origin story, planting the entrepreneurial culture of technical brilliance, bold risk-taking, and rapid innovation that would define the region for the next 7 decades. From Fairchild came Intel, founded in 1968 by Gordon Moore and Robert Noyce, which manufactured the microprocessors that powered the personal computer revolution. And from that personal computer revolution came Apple Computer, co-founded by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak in a Cupertino garage in 1976. And from Apple and the personal computing era came the Internet revolution of the 1990s. And from the Internet revolution came Google, founded by Larry Page and Sergey Brin in a Menlo Park garage in 1998. And from Google and the social revolution of the 2000s came Facebook, founded by Mark Zuckerberg in a Harvard dorm room in 2004, and now rebranded as Meta, a cascading sequence of innovations, each built on the shoulders of the last, that transformed not just American business, but the entire global economy and the fundamental structure of human communication and commerce. Today, Silicon Valley is home to more than 30 businesses in the Fortune 1000, and the technology companies it spawned have grown into the most valuable corporations in the history of capitalism. As of 2025-2026, NVIDIA became the most valuable company on Earth with a market capitalization of approximately $4.5 trillion, followed by Apple at $3.94 trillion, Alphabet, Google's parent company, at $3.82 trillion, Microsoft at $3.53 trillion, and Amazon at $2.3 trillion, a concentration of corporate value in American technology companies that is genuinely without historical precedent, and which reflects the degree to which U.S. tech firms now underpin the entire global digital economy. The combined revenues of just 5 American technology companies, Amazon, Apple, Alphabet, Microsoft, and Meta, exceeded $1.5 trillion in 2024 alone, with Amazon generating $637.9 billion in revenue, Apple $416 billion, Alphabet $350 billion, and Microsoft $281.7 billion, figures that individually exceed the entire GDP of many mid-sized nations. The market dominance of American tech companies extends across every dimension of the digital economy. Google holds over 60% of the search market in the United States and over 90% globally, making it the default gateway through which most of humanity accesses information on the internet. Meta's platforms, including Facebook and Instagram, reach billions of people daily. Amazon controls 39% of U.S. e-commerce and delivers over 4.75 billion packages per year in the United States alone. And Amazon, Microsoft, and Google together account for approximately 2/3 of the entire global cloud services market, meaning that a vast proportion of the world's digital infrastructure runs on American servers managed by American companies. The most dramatic development in American technology in recent years has been the emergence of artificial intelligence as the defining technology of our era, and here again the United States, and Silicon Valley specifically, has claimed a dominant position, with Silicon Valley's AI startups raising a record $150 billion in 2025 alone, shattering the previous record high of $92 billion set in 2021, according to the Los Angeles Times, while AI companies globally raised a total of $226 billion in 2025, accounting for an astonishing 48% of all venture funding in the world that year, according to CB Insights, and California startups alone secured 63% of all U.S. startup funding in 2025, reflecting the extraordinary concentration of AI talent, capital, and infrastructure in the American technology ecosystem. At the center of the AI revolution stands OpenAI, the American artificial intelligence company that released ChatGPT in November 2022 and produced what may be the fastest adoption of any technology product in history. By 2025, ChatGPT was serving more than 800 million weekly users, according to OpenAI itself, with users sending 2.5 billion messages per day, according to OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. And OpenAI had reached $10 billion in annual recurring revenue by June 2025, making it one of the fastest-growing companies in Silicon Valley history. Now we arrive at the third pillar of American global dominance, YouTube, and its story is one of the most extraordinary in the history of business and culture, a story that begins on Valentine's Day, February 14, 2005, when three young former PayPal employees named Chad Hurley, Jawed Karim, and Steve Chen registered the YouTube domain and began building what they imagined would be a simple video-sharing website where friends could share clips with each other, an idea so modest in its original conception that it bears almost no resemblance to the global cultural institution that YouTube has become. The first video ever uploaded to YouTube was posted by co-founder Jawed Karim on April 23, 2005, an 18-second clip titled "Me at the Zoo," filmed at the San Diego Zoo, so ordinary and so unremarkable in content that it is almost impossible to believe it was the first frame of a platform that would eventually be used by more than one-third of all the human beings alive on Earth. By December 15, 2005, when YouTube officially launched to the public, it was already serving more than 2 million video views every single day, and by early 2006 that number was doubling and tripling at a pace that alarmed and excited every technology investor in Silicon Valley simultaneously, attracting the attention of Google, which saw in YouTube not just a video website, but the future of human media consumption. And in October 2006, Google acquired YouTube for $1.65 billion, a sum that seemed extraordinary at the time, and that today ranks as one of the greatest business acquisitions in corporate history, because YouTube's revenue for the full year of 2025 exceeded $60 billion, according to both BBC and Variety, marking the first time Alphabet had ever formally disclosed YouTube's standalone revenue figure, and revealing a business that had grown from a $1.65 billion acquisition into a platform now valued at over $500 billion, a return on investment of more than 300 times. That is almost impossible to comprehend in its scale. The numbers behind YouTube in 2025 and 2026 are almost surreal in their magnitude. As of February 2026, over 2.70 billion people worldwide use YouTube every month, according to Global Media Insight, a number that represents more than one-third of the entire human population of the planet, with YouTube standing as one of the most visited websites in the world, second only to its parent company Google, and the largest single national audience on YouTube is India, where approximately 500 million users engage with the platform as of October 2025, according to Statista, a fact that illustrates how profoundly American technology has embedded itself into the daily cultural and informational lives of people on every continent. YouTube's creative economy has itself become a significant force in the global economy. According to research by Oxford Economics, YouTube's creative ecosystem contributed over $55 billion to the United States GDP in 2024 alone, while YouTube has paid a cumulative total of more than $100 billion to creators and media companies, with payments to creators increasing by 79% in 2025 compared to 2024, according to The Wrap, reflecting the extraordinary growth of a creator economy built entirely on an American-owned, American-invented platform that has fundamentally reshaped how human beings learn, are entertained, express themselves, build businesses, and engage with the world around them. And all of this, Hollywood's century of storytelling, Silicon Valley's technology revolution, YouTube's transformation of human media, together constitutes something that no army, no government decree, and no diplomatic negotiation could ever construct: the organic, spontaneous, sometimes messy, but utterly irresistible global cultural and technological dominance of the United States of America, a country that generated $663.5 billion from its media and entertainment industry alone in 2025, that holds the #1 position in the global soft power rankings with a score of 74.9 out of 100, and that continues through the films it makes, the companies it builds, and the platforms it invents, to shape the imagination, the habits, the aspirations, and the daily lives of billions of people on every corner of this earth, making it not merely a political or military superpower, but something rarer and in many ways more enduring. The world's undisputed cultural and technological powerhouse.